Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about suspected teen sex trafficker and Florida Congressional Rep Matt Gaetz. Now, you're asking yourself, I'm just going to assume this is how you have conversations with yourself when no one's around. Didn't I just see this guy James doing a video about Matt Gaetz like a day or two ago? Did I eat too many edibles? Am I tripping out here or something? Well, I don't know what you may or may not have ingested before watching this video. I can, however, assure you, yes, I just did a video about this nudnik, and I thought that was going to be it. Maybe 2-3 weeks from now, there would be a follow-up story about Matt Gaetz retiring, or the DOJ dropping their investigation, or perhaps even possibly official charges being brought up. So I didn't really think much about it, and I went on with my week. Lo and behold, the Matt Gaetz story has gone from bad to holy crap in the last 24 hours. So I am going to attempt to take everything that happened, condense it into as small a pile as possible, and start talking really fast so I can let you know everything that's happened since the last video. Are you ready? Here we go. Now, to start with, I would like to apologize to any random Fox viewers who may have just walked in here and have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. It's not you, it's them. Seriously. Apparently, since his amazing interview on the Tucker Carlson show, Fox News and Fox Business combined have now gone more than 48 hours without even mentioning the name Matt Gaetz. It's like he just vanished, Lieutenant Dan. But apparently, they have found the time to mention Governor Cuomo 17 times in that same span. So if this is the first you're hearing about this, you are in for a bumpy ride. So here we go, taking it from the top. To start with, if there was any other question as to whether or not this investigation into Matt Gaetz was actually begun under the Trump administration, this little nugget got leaked that apparently Bill Barr avoided being seen anywhere near Matt Gaetz. Don't make eye contact. Then Attorney General Bill Barr went to great lengths to avoid being seen near Representative Matt Gaetz after he was alerted to the federal probe into the Florida Republican's alleged sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl. Barr is said to have gotten several briefings about the investigation, at least partly to ensure that the then Attorney General didn't inadvertently find himself standing next to Gaetz at any public events, according to a source. The Department of Justice reportedly went so far as to cancel a planned appearance by Barr at a meet and greet with House Republicans after it was learned that Gaetz would be in attendance. Imagine being the guy that Donald Trump dragged on stage to validate his daily medical updates on COVID and then being like, Matt Gaetz, I got to get out of here. Damn. Well, maybe it has to do with this and the next 6 stories about Matt Gaetz I'm about to rattle off in succession. Feds have evidence connecting Matt Gaetz to fake ID scheme in Florida. Whoa. Information that may connect Gaetz to a fake ID scheme at the center of the case against a second Floridian politician, Joel Greenberg, was presented to federal investigators in a meeting early last year, according to 2 other people familiar with the matter. In the meeting, which has not been previously reported, a witness provided evidence linking Gaetz to Greenberg, the former tax collector in Seminole County, Florida, who was arrested last year on charges that include sex trafficking of a minor and fabricating fake IDs. Looks like Matt should have gotten himself some better friends. There is reportedly video evidence. Quote, according to one of the people familiar with the matter, an employee at the tax collector's office saw Greenberg and Gaetz on internal office surveillance video looking through driver's licenses on a weekend evening. In a text message exchange shared with CNN that the source said was between Greenberg and the employee, Greenberg confirmed he was in the office showing Congressman Gaetz what our operation looked like. That witness shared the information with prosecutors from the local U.S. Attorney's Office in January of 2020. So it looks like Matt has been under the microscope for more than a year now, and at some point, he has to have known that he was under the microscope. Apparently, that did not deter him from becoming an even shittier, slimier, pervier human being. Next up, Matt Gaetz paid prostitutes using Cash App and Apple Pay. And there are receipts. Now, before I move on to this part, I would just like to make a general overall statement here. Number one, sex work is work. Number two, all workers deserve rights. Number three, there is absolutely no shame or nothing wrong with engaging in sex work. What is wrong is taking a hypocritical moral high ground against sex, people who participate in the sex trade, and people who are actually sex workers, and then going out of your way to solicit said sex workers behind closed doors after you've built an entire career and a fake public persona on being the dude who takes the moral high ground. Now I'll continue. A Justice Department investigation into Representative Matt Gaetz and an indicted Florida politician is focusing on their involvement with multiple women who were recruited online for sex and received cash payments, according to people close to the investigation and text messages and payment receipts reviewed by the New York Times. Investigators believe Joel Greenberg, the former tax collector in Seminole County, Florida, who was indicted last year on a federal sex trafficking charge and other crimes, initially met the women through websites that connect people who go on dates in exchange for gifts, fine dining, travel, and allowances. According to three people with knowledge of the encounters, Mr. Greenberg introduced the women to Mr. Gaetz, who also had sex with them. Gaetz has denied paying for sex. Now, at no point since this whole thing started has Matt Gaetz denied knowing a lot of young women, he's referring to teenage girls, or flying them around the country, or buying them nice things, or having sex with them. The only thing he's been denying is that he paid for the sex. Because this is his concern. Not the borderline pedophilia of trying to find teenage girls to engage in sexual intercourse with. No, not that part. That's not creepy, right? The paying for sex part. That's apparently what he's worried about. The Justice Department inquiry is also examining whether Mr. Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old girl and whether she received anything of material value, according to 4 people familiar with the investigation. The sex trafficking count against Mr. Greenberg involved the same girl, according to 2 people briefed on the investigation. The authorities have also investigated whether other men connected to Mr. Gaetz and Mr. Greenberg had sex with the same 17-year-old girl, 2 of the people said. Well, the more other men there are connected to this, the more you can be sure someone is going to spill the beans and leave Matt hanging out to dry. Quote, "The Times has reviewed receipts from Cash App, a mobile payments app, and Apple Pay that show payments from Mr. Gaetz and Mr. Greenberg to one of the women and payment from Mr. Greenberg to a second woman. The women told their friends that the payments were for sex with the 2 men, according to 2 separate people familiar with the conversations. Some of the men and women took ecstasy, an illegal hallucinogenic drug, before having sex, including Mr. Gaetz. Gaetz reportedly sought to get more people involved in the prostitution scheme. And that, my friends, is what you call solicitation. If somebody tries to peg him for running a child sex trafficking ring, well, then Matt is going to be in prison for the rest of his natural life. In some cases, Mr. Gaetz asked women to help find others who might be interested in having sex with him and his friends. Should anyone inquire about their relationships, one person said, Mr. Gaetz told the women to say that he had paid for hotel rooms and dinners as part of their dates. the FBI has questioned multiple women involved in the encounters, including as recently as January, to establish details of their relationship with Mr. Gaetz and his friend, according to text messages and two people familiar with the interviews. January of this year. That means he's known for an entire year that he's been under the microscope, and he just couldn't help himself. One of the sites the men met women through is called Seeking Arrangement, which describes itself as a place where wealthy people find attractive companions and pamper them. The site's founder has said it has 20 million members worldwide. The FBI mentioned the website in a conversation with at least one potential witness. Yeah, if you have a sugar daddy website with 20 million members, that's about 500 millionaires, and the rest are fodder for them to peruse. Fun side note here, apparently the internet found Matt Gaetz's Venmo, and people have been sending him 1 penny donations with little heartfelt messages for him, including, "Go to Satan or Trump and buy your soul back. If I wasn't clear earlier, this is for your bail. Bro, you need it more than I do." The internet is fucking savage. Up next, Matt Gaetz showed nude photos of women he said he slept with to lawmakers. Why? Because of your big game hunting, and apparently 38-year-old Matt Gaetz thinks big game hunting involves getting drugged out teenage girls to have sex with him. Well then, you can be sure as shit that a big, manly, big game hunter, such as Matt Gaetz, is going to parade around and show his trophies to everybody near him. Why? Gaetz allegedly showed off to other lawmakers photos and videos of nude women he said he had slept with, the sources told CNN, including while on the House floor. The sources, including two people directly shown the material, said Gaetz displayed the images of women on his phone and talked about having sex with them. One of the videos showed a naked woman with a hula hoop. Quote, "It was a point of pride." Cool. Now we can add distribution of pornography onto the pile of shit that Matt is going to get dragged down with when they fucking bring him to court. After the DOJ investigation into Gaetz surfaced this week, there were a handful of Republicans in Congress who defended him, speaking out on his behalf, including both Representative Gymnasium Jordan, the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Gunn of Georgia, who is currently carrying on a consensual affair with a dude who LARPs in a Zangief outfit. Whew. Seriously, I feel like I just ran a marathon. So at this point, I have absolutely no idea what I could possibly tell you or possibly add on to all of that. All I will say is this. If you are going to march yourself up to the top of the mountain to scream down at all the plebes and to preach to them about your moral compass and your sense of morality and how you're on the side of right and good, you should probably make sure there aren't 15 other people out there who can tell everybody that you like to drug teenage girls, fly them across state lines so that you can do ecstasy and then have sex with them. Until next time, and good Lord, I hope there's not a next time. My name is James, I'm from the internet, and I'm out. Peace.